Welcome to another edition of Lean Bites. Thanks for joining me today. My name is Paul Dean. On this edition of Lean Bites, I'm going to share with you a simple but powerful leadership analogy of how being a gardener can lead to a successful lean transformation. Lean is all about change, developing people and improving processes. Now, I've had the privilege of implementing lean with large and small organisations, and I've found organisations that have had a successful lean transformation are those that have created the right environment leading to the right culture. And I believe having a gardening mindset can help create this environment leading to that successful transformation. So please stay with me for a few minutes and I'll explain. Now, most of us have had some experience in the garden, maybe a lot of success or maybe not so much. Whether you're a gardener at home or on a farm, the approach is exactly the same. A gardener will take a number of inputs and through a well thought through strategy and plan, create an outcome that not only benefits the garden, but those all around. For example, perhaps you want to grow a tree. Its purpose is to grow and provide fruit which will benefit the owner and the overall garden, such as additional seeds for propagating another tree, or perhaps shade, or perhaps a nest for the birds. Now, firstly, a tree comes from a single seed, and within that seed is all the DNA that is needed to turn it into a tree that will produce fruit. But in order to get to the best outcome, we need to care for that seedling. You need to have a plan to nurture it, to check its growth, and act accordingly. Now, your frontline team members, your staff, your people are essentially those seedlings, those small trees. And it's our responsibility to nurture them so they can become the trees that we all need them to be. You strategically place a seedling into the soil, which is the work environment. But this is only the start. The soil has to be the right soil. It can't be too hard or rocky or too acidic. And I'm sure you've seen plants growing between gaps in the sidewalk. They don't last very long. And it's not just the poor soil or the harsh sunlight, but the lack of support that kills them off. So we need to spend time preparing the soil to create an environment which will support these new seedlings. The small trees need the right amount of watering and nutrients. And these are inputs like leadership, policy, strategy, planning, and execution, for example. Then as the tree grows, it requires constant care until it's able to support itself. So I'm sure you're asking, how can I create that environment where my people will be nurtured? So I've got a few tips that could help you be a great gardener. Number one, tend the soil. From the outset, create a strategy that will allow your people to thrive. When you plant new people, ensure they're not standing alone. Buddy them with someone else that will walk with them and make them feel a sense of belonging. Do this from the very first minute, prepare for their arrival and celebrate when they're planted into the organisation. Number two, be a servant leader. Seedlings can't grow if they're being covered or restricted. Always have the mindset that I'm here to serve my people. I'm here to help them be the best versions of themselves. Put others first. Ensure that all leaders model the right behaviour. Number three, recognise that every tree has a different shape. Encourage your team members to be themselves. Encourage them to contribute to the shaping of the organisation. And if they provide improvement ideas, then help them to develop and implement them. Create a system that will respect the idea and the person it came from. Number four is go see. Don't manage your team from your desk. Go to the gemba and see for yourself. Ask questions, listen, learn, provide support. Watch what's happening. A gardener can't be effective if they're not walking in the garden regularly. Number five, trim, don't chop. Give regular and specific feedback through coaching your team. Trimming is all about minor adjustments to quicken the growth, whereas chopping is essentially cutting down growth that has taken years to develop. Observe and listen to your team members when they need help and provide feedback that will help them on the right growth path. And finally, 6, care. Above all, create a physical and psychological safe environment. Stop the pests from eating away at the leaves, and these are the poor processes that create frustration and waste. Create or modify a core value that speaks directly to caring for your people. Make this part of everyday life and walk the talk. I hope this has been very helpful, and before I go, I'd like to leave you with a quote. The true meaning of life is to plant trees under whose shade you do not expect to sit. Nelson Henderson. Thank you for joining me on this edition of Lean Bites.